Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of India Today Group, let me extend a very, very warm welcome to all of you all for this special environment and sustainability conclave. And as you know, for me, Karnataka is my home state, and this is Garvapsi in some senses, as we say in Delhi. The beats of those tribal dancers that have actually come from my home district, Kodagu, the Jain Kurubas, from Nagarhole, and it's still rhythmic in us. I was trying to persuade Mr. Shivakumar and Mr. Khandre to come and do a little jig with us, but we are a little out of touch, I think, with our this thing. But we are certainly honored that Karnataka's dynamic Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. D.K. Shivakumar, took time off from his very busy schedule to agree to inaugurate this and give the keynote address. Mr. Shivakumar, as you know, wears several hats. Apart from being Deputy Chief Minister, he's also the Water Minister. He's also Bangalore Town Planning and Urban District in charge. Let's give Mr. Shivakumar a very, very warm round of applause for this. As you know, the Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, was also supposed to be here, but because he's indisposed, he was not able to be present. He sends his good wishes, and we will miss his presence in this speedy recovery. I'm also, and for a speedy recovery. I'm also delighted to welcome Mr. Eshwar, the energetic Cabinet Minister for Forest, Energy and Environment. Very, very warm round of applause for this, please. That's because it is because of his initiative that India Today has convened this conclave. And as I was telling him as I came in, it is a sign of a very mature government that will look inside and even want criticism and critique from outside to come and guide Karnataka and the minister and, of course, the government on the way forward. Just a little bit, I do know Mr. Khandre's father, Bhimana Khandre, and I used to report in Karnataka way, way back. I shouldn't say when, but so in many senses, as I said, this is memories coming back to me. A lot of my old friends are here as well, and I give them a very warm welcome. The distinguished speakers who will join us. Just to name a few, Raman Sukumar, Ravi Chelam, Naresh Narasimhan, a whole lot, Revit. You know, there's a whole lot of others that I should name, but if I've forgotten some, it's only because there's no time. All outstanding professionals and researchers on their own right and will contribute much to today's deliberation. Just to give you a sense of why it's so important that we are standing here, we know that we are in the most disruptive times in the world. We have seen what US President Donald Trump has talked about climate change, how he's withdrawing from all the agreements, including the World Health Organization. And we all know that our weather is changing. We do not have to listen to him. We all can feel that change. We can see that change. We can smell that change. We are all witness to what is happening to all of us. And you know, across India, across all the states, we can feel that difference. In fact, this morning, I landed very early in the morning at 1 o'clock over here, and I was saying, isn't it a bit warm in Bangalore? In February, normally you'd get that Bangalore chill, a little bit of mist coming. Maybe I'm too much of an old Bangalorean to, you know, for many of you all may not remember those days, but it used to be cold. I actually had a swim here, and it wasn't that cold. If you go to Delhi, where I'm staying now, again, it's unusually warm out there. So something is going wrong with our climate. We don't seem to understand. Look at the way the most powerful nation in the world, America, rejects the climate change agreement, even as we see fires burn in Los Angeles. And as we know, no power in the world can stop nature's fury. We have seen tornadoes. We have seen typhoons. We have seen tidal waves. We have seen very unusual weather across the country where we have droughts, heavy rainfall, unusual rainfall, floods. In my own hometown, Kodagu, just a couple of years ago, we had massive floods, unheard of, where houses collapsed, people lost their lives, their livelihoods. And all across India, this has become a problem. So, but I mean, that's the negative side of what is happening, and therefore we are here. But let me also compliment my home state, because I happen to, not just because I'm here, but I think I've covered the entire country in terms of environment. And I can say with certainty, though some of my colleagues may disagree, that there is no state in India than Karnataka that has such rich and varied biodiversity, whether it's forests, wildlife, flora and fauna, and of course, agroclimatic zones. So there is much to protect. On this dais, I was just thinking, there is, if I look across, I come from Malnad region, Kodagu. You come from, sir, Bangalore South, Kanakpura. You, sir, are up in the North Karnataka. And if you look, my colleague Nagaraj is also, Nagarjun Soro, he's from Shimoga. So if you look at the climatic zones in each of these places, we have very rich tropical forests, fantastic rivers. The Kaveri River supports this entire lifestyle of this side. North Karnataka, of course, Krishna, Brahma, all these other rivers. And if you see the wildlife that is there, I'm sure many of you all have done. I had the privilege, if I remember, and a lot of those colleagues are here that helped me through understanding Karnataka's wildlife, whether we were seeing tigers in Bandipur, the elephants in Nagarhole. We have Raman Sukumar here to tell us more about it. And I hear, sir, in Kanakpura now there are elephants coming into your territory, and that is something we need to look at. If you take a look across at the magnificent, across in North Karnataka, if you ever went there, and I remember covering an event in Gulbarga, and I was coming back from this village. Those days there were not many roads and everything else. And out of the blue, I mean, this is just a scrub and thorn jungle, and there was this fantastic black buck. If you've ever seen a black buck run, it was faster than any train or the fastest racing car that was there. It just sped across. And like all of nature, it is just fleeting moments that you capture. Whether you see, if you've ever seen the hornbill, the giant Malabar hornbill, sometimes they come to this side of the Western Ghats. And again, this prehistoric beast, if you see the wings, their wingspans are huge. The plume, the beak, I mean, you cannot, for a moment, describe the pleasure you get out of it. All this Karnataka has, and much, much more. If you look at some of the other things, like rivers, I know, quite close to Kanakpura, of course, we have the Shivakumar Falls. If you ever go there and see that, the other day I went to Baba Budangari Hills. I'm sorry if my pronunciation's wrong, but in Chikmagalur, where they have that Neelkurunji blooms every once in 12 years. And my wife and I flew in from Delhi just to go across that and enjoy the beauty of those hills. So there is so much to preserve that we have in Karnataka. And therefore, when I talk of Karnataka, it is ahead of everybody when it comes to flora and fauna. And it does, of course, face enormous challenges. Let's be very clear about that. But Karnataka, like Bangalore, if you recall, Bangalore is the city of the future, continues to be. It set the model for the country. Karnataka is a state which has one of the highest per capita incomes, one of the most educated populace, and Karnataka should be the state of the future for environment. That's why I congratulate the Karnataka government, Mr. Khandre and others, for actually organizing this. Because I think what we have today, the deliberations we do today, the blueprint that we give could set the pace for Karnataka as well as show the way for the nation during this very troubled time in terms of climate change. Now let me just talk a little bit about the negative, and then we'll come back to this, just to highlight a few points that we will do. I do remember when I first started my career, as we say, a cub reporter, the first story I wrote was disastrous pollution in Bangalore. And this was way, way back when Devraj was chief minister. Of course, my cousin or co-brother was the chief engineer of Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, and he was most upset with me. I think as his son is here as well, because he was handling this situation. But from that time onwards, we have seen the decline of Bangalore, one of the best city, the jewel in not only Karnataka but in India, see a major, major decline. Whether you go to the Rishabhavati River now, if you cross, go towards Mysore, look at the Arkavati River, it's a sad story, very much like Yamuna in Delhi. There are things that needs to be done. Of course, in 1983, when I came to Bangalore, we put it as the boom city. Bangalore was the fastest growing city, and I'm saying Bangalore because that time it was called Bangalore. Unfortunately, 40 years later, I had to write a piece which said Bangalore city going bust. And we all know what the problems are. I don't have to outline them. The wonderful garden city now is, of course, has high levels of air pollution. suffers from traffic jams. There's also water shortage and an explosion of population and vehicles and construction. We have Mr. Shivakumar here, Deputy Chief Minister. He's taken a lot of initiatives on this front since he's taken over, and we look forward to hearing your visions, Mr. Shivakumar, on these matters in Bangalore and other issues, particularly water, which you're looking at. Of course, let's turn to Mr. Khandre in a few minutes on the challenges that he faces. And one of the things I was very interested, I saw a couple of, sorry, is this humming a bit? Yeah. One of the issues you highlighted when someone asked you a question, one of the MLAs, I think, asked you a question about river pollution in Karnataka. And your reply was stunning. You didn't hold back your answers. You said that all the major rivers in Karnataka suffer from high levels of pollution. And when you look at that biodegradable levels, you said all of them exceeded it. So this is a tragedy that we all have to be concerned about. We've also seen, as I mentioned earlier, the problems of human-animal conflict. That is increasing. There might be two reasons. One, we're decreasing forests very rapidly. And the other is, of course, because of excellent protection, some of these sanctuaries might be getting more population, and they are coming in conflict with it. There is a need to sort out some of those issues. And if you look at Bangalore also, you will see that, and Mr. Khandre had talked about it also, there are major steps that Mr. Khandre has taken in terms of what he's planning to do and has done for both river pollution as well as forest encroachments and others. We'd like to listen to him. Let me conclude by saying that, as I said earlier, that we've put together this host of all experts that are there. At the end of the day, we hope to have a blueprint of change so that Karnataka is the future for India in terms of environment, sustainability, and climate change. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you.